All right. So I just did a little research and a certified Scrum Master, PSM level one, apparently the average salary is $101,000 a year. Um, we're going to be trying, we are this is day three of the challenge. We're trying to get the cert within the next 3 days. So Monday, I'm going to be taking the test and I do not feel ready yet. So let's review what we've done so far. So this is the Scrum guide. This is my document. This is the actual document that we've been studying for the past 2 days. And then these are my notes based on the document. And so what I want to do first is kind of just review everything that I've learned. Um, and I'm going to do this way. So it's just going to be quick bullet points, but I'm going to quickly review what I remember. And then if there's any gaps, I'm going to fill those in the document above. So let's just get all these down. Scrum team, Scrum events, Scrum artifacts, and that's it. So then within that, theory, values, team, events, and artifacts. So let's go ahead and just do it like this. So Scrum definition, the big thing is Scrum is a way to provide complex solutions in complex environments. Let's see. What is Scrum? The pressure is on. So let's get the live stream going real quick. Just to see if anyone's in. But back to Scrum. Complex solutions in a complex environment. It's intentionally I guess vague, maybe incomplete. Freedom. And that's weird. Here we go. I was in the wrong room. Okay. It's intentionally incomplete. They want to give you freedom to flex based on what you're learning. And then let's see what else is in Scrum. Let's see. Scrum is honestly, that's pretty much it. Complex solution, complex environment, intentionally incomplete. Let's see what else it says in the definition. Generate value, adaptive solutions. Scrum is simple. Let's say simple framework. Yeah, purposefully incomplete. Got that part. Collective intelligence of people. So that's probably big. Provide people with detailed instruction, relationships, and interaction. Collective intelligence. And I think the final thing that I missed is um, I'll just say there's always room for evaluation. And I accidentally just saw the next part, but Scrum theory, it's empiricism and adaptation, I think. So empiricism is the idea that it's the idea that things will become apparent as you do, more so than things becoming apparent during planning. So planning has value, but planning is a means to get to the goal of doing things. And then adaptation, which I think is the other one. It's something with an A, but it's the idea that you can, it's intentionally flexible, and there's a lot of freedom afforded within it. So I think it's also the idea that like the Scrum team should be self-sufficient. So, or alter plans, something like that. So that's weird. Okay, so there's two little things, and I wish I could look. There was something with a C, which I think it actually might be self. There's something about it being self-sustaining, and there's something about it being able to do everything, which I almost said as adaptation, but I think that's different. So, so can okay. I think that's it. I think it's accountability, and then also being able to do everything that's required. So let's see. Team is sufficient. Okay. And adaptation is that you can change. Plus every ceremony is technically an opportunity to evaluate. Okay, so let's see. Oh, empiricism, lean thinking. Oh, I totally forgot about transparency, inspection, adaptation. Or I guess I did get adaptation. So, but I think I kind of covered these things. So, empiricism and lean thinking. Empiricism asserts that knowledge comes from experience and makes decisions based on what is observed. Lean thinking reduces waste, focus on the essentials. So experience and essentialism is kind of the idea. Optimize predictability and control risk. Collectively have all the skills to share their work. Combines formal events for inspection. The containing event, the sprint. Because they implement empirical Scrum pillars of transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So transparency is really the one thing that I missed. And the big thing with that is that like all documentation and decisions are apparent. Documentation, decisions. So that's the one thing that I kind of missed, but that is big. So let's go ahead up here and see what I initially wrote down for Scrum theory. Scrum. So I think I honestly did this wrong. Did I create a link called empiricism? I don't know where this is referenced, but I'm going to get rid of it. So let's go through and kind of, so empiricism, lean thinking, transparency, inspection, adaptation. Optimize predictability. So predictable, and we want to reduce risk. Empirical Scrum pillars. Okay. So the big thing so Scrum promotes Scrum is founded on empiricism and lean thinking. Let's say which provide to create a process for in which can so predictable process. So let's go back to transparency. Transparency, let's just talk it through. Transparency is the idea that all decisions will be shared. Um, Everything is documented. Every decision that's made is shared. Um, and then every it's transparency in decisions, in progress through the backlogs, and then through I think like also through decisions that people make through the ceremonies. So let's see what it says, because I remember this being super confusing. So what they said is transparency is the emergent process. Um, Transparency, the emergent process and work must be visible to those performing the work as well as to those receiving the work. Actually makes a lot more sense now. With Scrum, the important decisions are based on the perceived state of three formal artifacts. Artifacts have low transparency. Artifacts that have low transparency can lead to decisions that diminish value and increase risk. Transparency enables inspection. Inspection without transparency is misleading and wasteful. So that actually makes a lot more sense. So what it's trying to say is um, transparency found in artifacts um, I'm going to go see what they define as shareholder. So let's see what they define as a shareholder, because that was one of the questions that I had is like, what the heck is what the heck is a shareholder? So I'm going to go ahead and just look in this document and see if they actually have a definition for shareholder. So they talk about developers. So maybe we just Google this. Stakeholder is anyone with a vested interest in the product who is not part of a Scrum team. Okay. So it's not users, but it's I guess it's more like investors, that kind of stuff. Okay. So let's get back to where we were. Um, and let's go into the Scrum theory of transparency. So, what it was saying, and that quote made no sense the first time I read it, but transparency, it's for both the developers and the shareholders. And then transparency or decisions are documented. So found in artifacts, decisions are documented. And then the other thing is, so, or else they so risk is like the big no-no in Scrum, it seems like, is the idea of risk in an organization. So everything is designed to mitigate risk. So this actually makes a lot more sense. Transparency enables inspection, which makes sense because all three of these work together. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So so in order to mitigate risk, documents are decisions are documented and shared with both workers, and let's actually put this at the end. So we're going to say and shared with both the team, shared, let's say internally, and to stakeholders in order to mitigate risk. That is all that transparency is. So we just boiled an entire paragraph into this. And in artifacts, shared internally, they are continually inspected by the team. Okay, so let's check out inspection. Towards goals, action. So let's go ahead and do that. Scrum artifacts and progress toward agreed goals must be inspected frequently and diligently. Potentially, so let's just go ahead and bullet out what it's saying. We have Scrum artifacts and progress towards agreed goals must be inspected frequently. We could say it like that. So we have to ensure that it's up to date. And so the idea there is artifacts must be inspected frequently and diligently to detect potentially undesirable variances or problems. So you need to be clear in your message, and then you need to review that to make sure that it can't be poorly interpreted. To prevent. Okay. And then what else does it say? To help with inspection, Scrum provides. Yeah. All events. And we're actually going to create a link to Scrum events. All Scrum events are how do we say this? All Scrum events are opportunities to inspect. So the cool thing is, like, if I take this, we've got inspection, all Scrum events are opportunities to inspect. If I click this, it takes us to Scrum events in the notes. I don't really want that right now, but it is just nice to have for the future. Okay. So is that something else that says problems towards goal? Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's just write this out. So all Scrum events are opportunities to inspect um, are opportunities to inspect decisions and requirements in order to and that's actually big, all Scrum events. Like, that's probably the biggest part of this. So let's go through, and this is surprisingly helpful how much more sense it makes the second time you read it. Sifting through it the first time was terrible. Any aspects of a process deviate outside the acceptable limits, the resulting product is unacceptable in the process. So let's go ahead and just take notes. Must be adjusted. If anything is unacceptable, team can adjust. So team can adjust, must be made as soon as possible. Scrum team is expected to adapt the moment it learns anything through new inspection. And that's cool. So it seems like inspection is almost the anchor. So because documentation and decisions are transparent, they can be inspected. And then when things are inspected and problems are found, they have the freedom to adapt. When they adapt, they create new documentation around the decision, and then that can be inspected. Okay, so let's get back into it. And we're kind of, so let's go ahead and just change this and we'll save that quote for now. So, um, through inspection, the if anything is found to through inspection, the team must make changes. Must be adjusted. Must make adjustments. Okay, so we just summarized another entire section in one sentence. So let's go on to the Scrum values. And this is something I really should review because it seems important, but also not as intuitive as this process. So, like, because it's just a list. Um, commitment, focus, openness, respect, courage. Focus on the work in the sprint. Openness about the work and the challenges. Respect is a big thing, and as a Scrum Master, it seems like that's a big thing you're promoting is like a respectful, open, focused, committed, courageous environment. Um, but let's see what else there is. The Scrum team commits to achieving its goals, to supporting. Oh, okay. So that actually is the best summary I think I can come up with. Primary focus, best possible progress. Primary focus, focus. The best open about the work and challenges, respect each other to be capable, independent people, have the courage to do the right thing. So then what about this paragraph? Did I just not even read it? And we can say reinforces these values. Scrum members learn and explore the values as they work. Scrum events and artifacts. Okay. So okay. Scrum team. This is what I was talking about with cross-functional self-managing. Um, so let's see what I remember about the Scrum team. There's 3 roles, of course. Um, there is the Scrum Master, there's the project owner, and then there is the developers. And they're all working together. So they all create the team. They're fully capable to complete the problem, and they also the Scrum team can they're free to move. So they're like mobile or agile. That's funny. Um, and then the other thing is they're also fully equipped to handle the problem. So I think that should be cross functional. Yep. And then self managing. Yep. Oh, and that's the other thing. No ranks. So that'll be big. Let's see if there's any other information that I can add. Scrum team consists of 1 Scrum Master, 3 developers. Within a Scrum team, there are no sub teams or hierarchies. So that actually that is big. Cohesive unit of professionals focused on one objective at a time. Focused on product goal. So that's another big thing, and that's something that didn't make sense to me until you get all the way down here where you actually talk about the product goal. But there is only one product goal that ever exists in a um, within an organization, and so that is the sole focus of the team. So let's get back to the Scrum team, and then we'll keep going. So cross-functional, we have that here. They have everything they need to complete the sprint. And then also self-managing, which means they internally decide all that. Scrum team is small enough to remain nimble, large enough to complete significant work. Okay. And that makes sense because that's the optimal size. And what we can actually say is that the optimal size for a Scrum team so smaller teams are normally more productive. Um, okay. So that allows them to be more nimble. Let's see what else. Responsible for all. So this kind of ties in with cross-functional. And then what else do we have? So the Scrum team is responsible for all product activities. So let's just keep going and we'll see what else there is. From stakeholder collaboration, verification. Okay, anything else that might be required? Power by the organization to manage their own work. So also back to self-managing. So they are responsible for everything and manage everything. Useful increment every sprint. The entire Scrum team is accountable for creating a valuable. And then there's the members of the team. So let's just keep going on that. Let's kind of refactor all of this into something a little more. What would be a good way to tie all this in? No sub teams, hierarchies. There's no ranks in a Scrum team. Just 3 roles working together to create a, let's say, a team that is fully responsible and capable for their tasks. Allows them to make progress while being nimble. And then I guess we can leave this. I don't like getting rid of it because I feel like these words might be kind of important for the test. So I'll leave that for now. But let's see, the product owner, all like top level communication comes from them. What else do I remember? The product owner manages the product backlog and works with the Scrum developers to determine what would be an appropriate time to adjust. They're also in charge of the sprint, so they have the final say as to whether or not a sprint continues, and the final say on the sprint goal. Let's see if that's true. Product owner is responsible for the quality of the team's output. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and also like optimizing it. Follow decisions of the product owner that are documented in the backlog. Yep. So that's a big thing to remember. So let's go ahead and read. I don't even have this in the right order. Let me cut this out. Development team, product owner, Scrum Master. There we go. So I guess we'll do it this way then, since I already talked about product owner. Maximizing value of the team. Effective product backlog management. Product goal, product backlog items. Ordering product backlog items. Ensuring that product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood. Yep. So that makes sense. Product owner may do the above work or may delegate. Remains accountable. Must be trusted, respected for them to do their work. Decisions are visible in the content. And through the expectable increment at the sprint review. Product owner is one person. Product owner may represent the needs of many stakeholders in the product backlog. Okay. So let's look at that again. Must be trusted. These decisions are visible. Represent the needs of many stakeholders. Those wanting to change. So and then also Scrum product owner is responsible for the quality of a team's output. So okay, so let's try to synthesize all of these into this to see if there's anything else we need. Effective product backlog, we already have that. Maximizing the team. Quality of the team's output by is let's say is ultimately responsible. They can delegate. Must be trusted, respected. One person, not a team, is a single person who is peculiarly by, let's say, by turning stakeholder requirements into Effective product backlog management items. Let's just say it like that. The team is expected to follow them. So let's do single person. How do you do underline? What is that? For maximizing the quality of the team's output. Okay. There's probably a way to make that better, but at least it covers everything. Scrum Master. Scrum Master creates an environment for Scrum to be utilized, meaning they explain the importance of all of the components of Scrum, as well as being able to effectively run meetings, make sure that people are following the processes, so time boxing, that kind of stuff. They remove blockers for developers and help them. I've kind of got that trapped in the many ways. Scrum Masters serve the team, but they serve developers, they serve the organization, and they serve the um, product manager. They serve the organization by helping them implement Scrum. They serve the team by removing blockers and by helping them follow Scrum, understand the importance of it. And then they serve the product owner by I don't know. Let's see. Find techniques. Oh, helping them implement techniques. Um, Scrum guide. And we want to link that to around taking care of people, removing blockers. Yeah. So let's go ahead. We're just going to do the same thing, see if there's anything else that we missed. So Scrum Master accountable for establishing Scrum. So they help everyone understand and practice. And then I think at an hour, I'm going to take a little break. Okay, so let's just keep going. Accountable for team's effectiveness. Servant leaders. Serve the Scrum team, serve the Scrum Masters. So let's see if any of these. So that's actually stupid. Let's say the Scrum Master helps. Establishes Scrum. Um, Taking care of people, removing blockers, helping them understand the benefits of Scrum. I guess I do kind of list it there. Scrum Master. So, servant leader, establishing Scrum, help everyone understand practice. All events exist within the sprint. Okay. So let's keep going. Scrum events. Let's see if there's anything else. Sprint is the container. Each sprint is a formal opportunity to inspect artifacts. Each meeting is These events are specifically designed to enable the transparency required. Um, should be practiced as described or may. Events are used in Scrum, regularly minimize the meetings. That was a lot of information in a little paragraph. So, um, Scrum events. events exist within the sprint and are an opportunity to reflect the decisions. Let's just say the artifacts. So that covers exist within the sprint. They should be held at the same time and should, let's say, for best results, should be held at the same time and should follow the inspect and adapt the artifacts. So let's see. Should be held at the same time. Inspect artifacts, reflection, adaptation. Reduces number of meetings. Do I really need that? Or is that kind of apparent? I guess nothing should really be considered apparent. I don't think it's that important. And I'm gonna step out, get some water, and I'll be back. Okay. All right. So back at it. Actually making really good time. But just going to keep going with the events. So we covered Scrum events. Now we're going to move on to the sprint. Just read this whole section. Make sure that our description is covering everything it needs to, and then we'll polish it up. So let's get into it. So the sprint, heartbeat, we'll say ideas. And I think I know I did this last time, become value. Oh, whoops. I'm in the wrong section. Here we go. So ideas become value in the sprint. What else? Fixed length, 1 month or less. To create consistency. New sprint starts immediately after the conclusion. Okay. Self repeating might be a good word. All the work necessary to achieve product goal, including sprint planning, daily scrum. Everything happens within sprint. Okay. During the sprint. So sprint goal can't be changed. Quality can't decrease. Product backlog can be updated. And then it looks like the final thing, scope may be clarified and renegotiated with the product owner. So it seems like two things there. One, product owner controls the scope of the sprint, but it's not fluid. So, and I think that I have all of this stuff in expectations during a sprint. So sprint goal does not change. Quality does not yeah. So I've got all of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove those and keep going. So sprint is the whole unit, but let's see, sprints enable predictability through. Okay. Ensure inspection. Right, inspection and adaptation at least once a month. So that's one of the main goals of Scrum. What else do we have? During the sprint, shorter sprints, more learning. Shorter sprints can be employed to generate more learning cycles and limit risk. May be considered a short project. Less risk. Various oh yeah, forecasting, burn downs, cumulative flows. So the big thing about a sprint is that this is all about working in complex environments. So we make decisions based on what has happened, not on what we think will happen. And then finally, sprint should be canceled if the sprint goal becomes obsolete. And we can say canceled by product owner. The Scrum sprint let's see if there's anything that's different than the last time. Constantly on repeat. Okay, so let's leave that here. Self-repeating monthly event centered around a sprint goal that contains all other events. So let's say they should last no more than a month, should be based on empiricism instead of forecasting, and should follow expectations during a sprint. So let's go ahead and remove that because empiricism instead of forecasting. Centered around the sprint goal. So let's go ahead and it contains all other events. So we've got self-repeating. We've got 1 month or less. So the big things is we still need to communicate that ideas become value. Everything happens within a sprint. We've communicated that. These are kind of the few things, oh, whoops, that we haven't communicated in this description up here. So let me show you what this looks like, not in Markdown. So the heck? Oh, whoops. Scrum Sprint is a self-repeating monthly event centered around a sprint goal that contains all other events. By the way, once I finish this document, I'm going to be releasing it to the public so that anybody can study Scrum and hopefully have everything they need to succeed for free. So let's keep going. Centered around a sprint goal that contains all other events. Last no more than a month. Should be based on empiricism instead of forecasting progress processes, and should follow the expectations during a sprint. So ideas become value in this and I think that problems can probably cover this. Which is the same thing. Let's say it this way. Shorter sprints ensure that more learning and address risk to organization. By ensuring, what do you say? By ensuring inspection happens at least one time a month. And then we can go ahead and get rid of that. And then let's see what else. So final thing is should be canceled by a product owner if goal becomes obsolete. I think I have that in expectations. Okay. And let's just backlink this. So Scrum guide, and we want to link it at Sprint. Okay, so the next thing is going to be sprint planning. So I'm going to try to remember what I can. So sprint planning is, I think, time boxed at 8 hours. So you have 8 hours to plan what you're going to do within the sprint. During sprint planning, you are creating what's called the sprint backlog, which is the combination of the sprint goal as well as the sprint backlog items and a plan for getting accomplishing all of those items. So sprint planning is conducted by the developers and the what's his name? The product owner. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it. There's an opportunity for developers to clarify on what items should be taken from the product backlog. So the developers have the sole responsibility of deciding which items to take, but the product owner is there to kind of explain prioritization and to explain the expectations within each of the items. So let's see what I wrote. Sprint planning, 8 hours or less. Oh, the entire team creates the sprint backlog by covering the 3 topics, which is probably like what we did, what we're going to do. Oh, no. Okay. So let's see, because this seems a little sparse. So let's go through the document and actually cover everything. For resulting plan is created by collaborative work of the entire Scrum team. Product owner ensures that attendees are prepared. Okay. So let's keep adding these items. Product owner. So they're prepared to discuss items. Okay, what else do we see in this document? So sprint planning addresses 3 topics. So and then topic 1, why is the sprint valuable? Topic 2, what can be done about the sprint? How to get things done. Time box maximum of 8 hours. Um, for shorter sprints, usually shorter, so 8 hours. So the description we have is in 8 hours or less, the entire team creates the sprint backlog by covering the 3 topics of Scrum sprint planning. Um, so that covers the requirement of 8 hours. It addresses the 3 topics. So the only thing that we really need creates the sprint backlog, which is all the work for the entire sprint. Product owner ensures attendees are prepared to discuss items. So let's see how we can add this one point into this description so it just becomes a better description. So creates the sprint backlog by covering the 3. We can literally just put it here. Um, okay. Up next is the daily scrum. So let's see what I remember from this. The daily scrum is a 15-minute meeting that only requires developers to be there, um, in which everybody talks about what they call like the 3 questions, which is what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what like roadblockers do you have? The roadblockers is something significant for the Scrum Master, but he's not required to be at the meetings. The developers also, the intent of the daily Scrum is to create a plan for the next day. So it's only really for you to figure out what you're going to be doing in that next day. So let's see what I wrote down. Daily Scrum, 15-minute event for developers to track progress of the sprint. Adjust backlog if necessary. Create a course for the next day's efforts. So let's go ahead and read this document one more time, just to make sure that we're not missing anything important. So inspect the progress of the sprint goal. So let's see. It's right. Planned work. 15 minutes. For developers. Held at the same time every day. The product owner or the Scrum Master are actively. Other members, let's say, can attend as developers. Daily scrums improve communications, identify impediments, promote quick decision making. Quick decisions. And let's see what this last part says. So daily scrum Not the only time they can adjust their plan. They can meet whenever they want to replan. So, so we have this list. This is everything about the daily Scrum. And we just want to make sure that all of it is being reflected in this right here. So let's start at the top. Track progress of sprint. So we've got that. Adapt backlog. Adjust plan work. It's 15 minutes. Oh, you know what? It's 15 minutes for developers, held at the same day. Other members can attend as developers. That's more nuanced than I feel like needs to be reflected here. Other viewers, other members can held the same time every day. Daily event. Other members can attend. What else do we have? Improve communications, find problem, make quick decisions, and eliminate other meetings. This. And we can say while other meetings are unnecessary, might be a good way to put it. While daily Scrum is, how would you say that? Well, the daily Scrum is covers everything. Developers can meet at other times for more detailed discussions. Yep. So I think that's actually pretty good. And then let's keep going. So all of this, we can take it. And for now, I'm just going to put it here. Just in case there's anything that I need to update. So next thing is the sprint review. So I'm going to go ahead and try to remember what I can. So sprint review is an opportunity for the team to meet with shareholders and showcase progress that they've made, more so how it aligns to the product goal. They can demo what they've done, show off the latest increment, and I feel like there's something else. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that the whole team has to be there, but I could be wrong. So let's see. Review, inspect outcome. So what did I say? More than just a presentation, it's a 4-hour working session where the team presents work to shareholders, reflects on the sprint, and can adapt the product backlog based on the new environment. So let's go ahead and We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to read this, make sure that all the information that needs to be there is there. So the purpose, inspect and review sprint. Let's see. Scrum team presents the results, their work to key stakeholders, and progress towards the product goal is discussed. So Scrum team presents the results of their work to key stakeholders. Stakeholders plus. Okay. During the event, the Scrum team and stakeholders review what was accomplished in the sprint and what has changed in the environment. So let's see. Based on the information, attendees collaborate on what to do next. Product backlog may also be adjusted to meet new opportunities. Let's see, who's required to be at the Scrum team? Okay. Let's just specify the entire Scrum team. So let's get rid of that. What else do we have or do we need? So let's see. Scrum team presents work, reflects on sprint, and can adapt the product backlog to the new environment. Presents work to shareholders. So really the only thing we're missing is inspect accomplishments and changes. So reflect on the sprint accomplishments. And now we've got everything. So sprint retro. Let's see what we've got. So, well, I just saw it, but the sprint retro is a 3-hour internal meeting between, I think, just developers. No, I think it has everyone. Where they just talk about what they did, how they could have performed it. They'll talk about like key assumptions that were made, that kind of stuff, and really review the whole decision-making process, kind of leveraging that transparency and that inspection to hopefully create adaptation in the future. Let's see, in 3 hours or less, the team explores topics of a Scrum retrospective, which is probably something like, what did we do? Almost like good, bad, ugly. Like what did we do? What assumptions were made? How did we overcome those or do better? So let's see. What went well? What went wrong? How was this solved? Best changes for the future. Yeah. So good, bad, moving forward. So let's go ahead and take some notes on this. And then I think after this one, I'm actually going to take a break and I'll be back in a second. So let's see. Purpose of the sprint retro, plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness. Scrum team inspects how the last sprint went. It is the Scrum team. Interactions, processes, tools, and their definition of done. Inspected elements often vary with domain of work. Inspected elements often. So let's see what that means. I don't know if that's saying between jobs or domain of work. Like the elements, the things that you actually completed will vary based on what your team performs. I think that's what it means. Um, the Scrum team discusses what went well, what problems encountered, what were not solved. Most helpful changes. Most impactful improvements need to be addressed. The sprint retrospective, 3 hours. So let's say this 3 hour conclusion to the sprint in this 3 hour conclusion to the sprint, the Scrum team, just bold that. Explores the increase quality, future performance / quality, identify next best steps. What went well, what went wrong, how was it solved? Best changes for the future can be added to the next sprint. So this is the only thing. Explores assumptions and solutions. Um, in the made around the topics of a retro in order to boost quality performance. So I think that's fair. Scrum artifacts. So this should be a pretty simple section. Um, Artifacts provide transparency by documenting both what the team has done and the decisions behind what they've done. Um, there's three artifacts and there's three like core standards within them. So three artifacts are the I'm trying to do this from memory. The product backlog, the Scrum backlog, or product backlog, sprint backlog, and the increment. And then each of those, the product backlog has the product goal, sprint backlog has a sprint goal, and the increment has the definition of done. So starting from the top, um, the well, let's just stop there and see what I had for the overall description. So Scrum artifacts. I didn't even write a description, so this will be a nice little practice. Um, represent work or value. Okay. Oh, you know what? And I was actually going to take a break. So give me 1 second. I'll be back. I just got to de-thaw some food. All right. So back at it again. And we finished Scrum artifacts, right? So work designed to maximize transparency of key information. Um, um, and you can say, so commitments, increase empiricism and transparency. So basically they document for okay. So let's go ahead and write this out. So all work um, provides transparency. So let's see. Work and value maximizes transparency. You can actually say it boosts commitment for each artifact. A commitment for each artifact that provides a snapshot around provides that by, and we're not going to say boost transparency, that around when the decision was made. So boost transparency by documenting all work and value provided within a sprint. Each artifact has a commitment that provides a snapshot. Okay. So let's just go through these because I'm cutting it close on time. I still have 2 pages. I can almost do this. So let's just keep going. Product backlog. Product backlog is all the items. You have one specific product goal. Product backlog contains that product goal, which is the commitment, along with all other items that are expected to be done for that product. Of course, it can flex based on what your understanding of the product is, but that is the baseline. Um, and it's where all work is pulled from for sprints. So, product backlog. So, let's do it this way. Single source. Product backlog items can be done by the Scrum team within one sprint or deemed ready for sprint planning. Okay, yeah. In sprint planning, um, are refined by product owner. Is an ongoing activity to add details such as description. Okay. Um, attributes often vary within the domain of work. Attributes often. So I keep seeing that phrase. And I think that's what it means is literally just like if you're on a cyber team, it's going to be different than, or I don't know, but it's based on what you guys were doing in your sprint. Um, are responsible for sizing. Okay. So has everything Scrum developers will select to improve the product is the single source that Scrum developers will select from to improve the product. Select tasks from. In a sprint. Are refined by product owner based on the product roles. Product goal. I'm probably gonna I'm so close. Okay. Product goal describes the future state of the product where it can serve as a target for the Scrum team. Okay. Future state. in backlog. Vehicle to deliver value, clear boundaries, stakeholders, well. It's weird that they put that there, but I guess we'll go with that. Long-term objective. So long-term, single, target for Scrum Team's product. It is held in put all other items built from future state. What's the other one in backlog? Yep. Sprint backlog. It's composed of the sprint goal. Yep, we already know that. Plan by and for developers, highly visible. Updated as more is learned. Um, okay. Let's just keep going on this. So the sprint backlog hosts I had 3 elements. If we go up to sprint plan, oh, you know what? It's in backlog. Hold on. By the developers. Inspect each other's work. Devs only. and can adjust. Sprint goal. Okay. Sprint goal, single objective. Be back. Hold on. Yeah, I'm almost there. Okay. Sprinkles. Um, it's the what, not how. Coherence and focus. North Star for Scrum team. Sprint planning event, and then added to sprint backlog. Um, to they can work with so we've got that. Single objective created by Scrum developers during sprint planning. Unify the Scrum team during the sprint. It allows flexibility on how, but provides clear expectation. Single objective. Okay, and then we just have the increment and the commitment. Additive. In order to provide value, the increment must be usable. You can create multiple within a sprint. Some of the increments is presented. Sprint review. However, an increment may be delivered. Okay. So on or before sprint review. Can create multiple within a sprint. And can be and and additive to previous. Usable step. Can have other increments within the same sprint. With all other towards a product goal. Okay, and finally the commitment for the definition of done. So formal description and skate of the increment where it meets quality. Okay, so let's just see this. It's when the increment is good enough when becomes an increment. Definition of done creates transparency. Shared understanding of work. Product backlog item does not meet the definition of done. It cannot be released. Product backlog item does not meet the definition of done. Can't be released or presented unless done. Okay, definition of done for an increment is part of the standards. At a minimum. Multiple Scrum teams working together. One definition of done. So what increment? This will act as a minimum expectation. The Scrum team shared understanding of work. Where did I see that? It becomes um, is a single shared understanding of the requirements of the sprint backlog item. If the standard isn't met, then okay, and that's it. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Save it, and we are done. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one.